I post daily NBA content on this channel, so if that is something that you are interested in, then subscribe. Also drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference. This video today is kind of coming out last second, or is planned last second, because with everything going on in the world, don't know if you noticed, my mind is kind of preoccupied and I haven't been able to sit down and write a script because I'm too focused on everything else. So today we're just going to react to some Bleacher Report trade ideas. I decided to cherry pick the ones that are bad from these articles. Not all of them are great. I just kind of want to be mean to a big corporation, so let's do it.
Save! Absolutely incredibly with the acrobatic alley-oop!
I will say Bleacher Report in general, I'm more low on. However, it's not all bad by any means. As I said, cherry-picked. Some of these articles had decent trades in them. Well, actually, I only picked from 2 articles, and the second one was 9 trades out of 30 that I thought were horrible. So I guess that's not great. But Bleacher Report in general, they're good at making entertainment in terms of like the, what do they call that shit? The parody of Game of Zones. There you go. That's pretty good, but their actual content outside of that is meh. But let's just get into being mean to them. The Houston Rockets trade James Harden and PJ Tucker for Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, the number 2 pick, and the 2022 first round pick. So, why? Why? Not for Golden State. While I will say I do like the idea of the system in Golden State more, there's an argument to be had that Draymond Green is significantly worse, and making this trade makes you a better team even if the fit with Steph and Harden is not amazing. But Klay Thompson means nothing to Houston if they're trading James Harden. Draymond Green means nothing to Houston if they're trading James Harden. So why? Like, if you're going to be trading James Harden, that means you're completely resetting the entire franchise. And what's the point of resetting a franchise with 2 30-year-old players on big contracts? There is no point to that. And even though you're getting the number 2 pick in this year's draft and a 2022 first round pick next year, or the year after next year, you know what I mean, that pick is not going to be jack shit. And the number 2 pick is LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards. And you can do better than that for James Harden. This trade makes 0 fucking sense to me. I have no idea why the Houston Rockets would even consider doing this. The Atlanta Hawks receive Terry Rozier, and the Charlotte Hornets receive Dwayne Dedmon, Brandon Goodwin, and a 2022 second round pick. This trade is completely undervaluing Terry Rozier. Now, I am far from the biggest Terry Rozier fan out there. I think he is often overrated, but he's kind of also underrated at times, because the guy averaged 18 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds while playing pretty decent defense on a Charlotte Hornets team that exceeded expectations on good efficiency as well. So Terry Rozier is a pretty solid NBA player, like solidly a top probably 100 player in the league, and you're trading him for a guy who has not been good in like 2 years, and a nobody, and a second round pick. And the argument that they make in this article is that it's about the salary, that it clears up for the Hornets, but what does salary matter to the Hornets? They're the Hornets. They really can't sign anybody that significant anyways. I know I freaked out about the Terry Rozier contract at the time of it, but now looking back, $18 million a year for a guy who averages 18 points and is solid all around, this is not the end of the world. I still think he's a little bit overpaid, but it's not a huge deal, and the Charlotte Hornets are not a free agency destination, so clearing that cap space means very little to them. So this is a dumb trade. The Brooklyn Nets receive DeMar DeRozan, and the Spurs receive Caris LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie. This is probably one of the worst of these 10 here. Why? Again, I'm asking the question why, but seriously, why? Caris LeVert is a shooting guard who is relatively close to DeMar DeRozan already. On top of that, Spencer Dinwiddie is one of the best 6 men in the league. So why are you trading that for DeMar DeRozan, who can't even space the floor? At the very worst, with Dinwiddie and Caris LeVert, they are decent 3-point shooters, at the very worst. DeMar DeRozan cannot shoot the ball whatsoever. So you're trading for a guy who does not fit with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant by getting two players who do fit with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant out of the way. And then even for the Spurs, while I would take this trade, it's not amazing for the fit of the fact that they already have Derek White, Lonnie Walker, and DeJounte Murray, who are all guards, and you're trading for two more guards. I imagine some of the other guys would be moved, and probably even Dinwiddie would get moved eventually from the Spurs, but it's not amazing in terms of their fit, but it is a good return for DeMar DeRozan. But yeah, I'm not seeing why Brooklyn does this trade, and I don't even think Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving would want this trade. The Dallas Mavericks receive Al Horford. The Sixers receive DeLon Wright, Dwight Powell, and Justin Jackson. No. So first of all, the center position and the big men position in Dallas, I think, is perfectly fine. Basically, it's Maxi Kleber and Kristaps Porzingis. Their rim protection is not amazing, but it's solid. Kleber is a pretty good defensive player, and then Kristaps can be a great defender sometimes, just a good one the others. The rebounding kind of gets figured out because Luka is a great rebounding guard, and Finney-Smith is a pretty good rebounder, so that's not really a big issue. They don't really need a big man, and even then Al Horford is not a good rebounder, so there's that. Unless they're facing a team like the Denver Nuggets or the Lakers, they really don't have an issue with their big men, and those are two outlier teams. Obviously the Sixers as well, but I'm thinking like playoffs here. The Sixers are not going to make the finals, spoiler alert. So why would you do Al Horford for the player, but then also the contract? The Dallas Mavericks, even if Giannis does sign a Supermax contract, which you're damn right I'm going to make a video on if he does, even if he does that, there are still free agents in 2021 that the Dallas Mavericks could realistically sign that they're going to hold out for. So why trade for a guy who's making over $25 million a year for the next coming seasons and just completely fuck up your free agency plans for a guy who can defend Jokic better than Maxi Kleber? Like, it's not worth it at all. The Los Angeles Clippers receive Andre Drummond, Zubac, Patrick Beverley, and Rodney Magruder. So again, all of these trades are bad, so I'm not going to bother going into this again, but Drummond is a rebounder and a decent defensive player who can finish at the basket. What is Zubac? He is a slightly worse rebounder, probably not slightly, he's a worse rebounder, and then he's a better defensive player who can finish at the basket and also has a mid-range jump shot. He's like almost as good as Drummond already. And then you're also moving Patrick Beverley, who is a very valuable role player in this move, to get a guy who is just going to get like 4 more rebounds a game than Zubac would in a starting position. Rebounding wasn't even a huge issue for the Clippers. The problem with them was their interior defense, not their rebounding from the center position. I honestly think Zubac just getting more minutes over Montrezl Harrell is the solution to that issue, and getting a backup center who can also play defense. So that's not really necessary. And on top of that, a cheaper option for them would just be to sign Tristan Thompson, who again, relatively close to Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond's value as a player has plummeted as people have realized that rebounding in the NBA, especially rebounding specialists, is not nearly as valuable as it used to be. The Milwaukee Bucks receive Chris Paul. The Oklahoma City Thunder receive Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, Ersan Ilyasova, and DJ Wilson. Why the fuck would the Thunder take this trade with no first-round picks involved? And not even Dante DiVincenzo. That's just stupid. I'm not even going to go into that. All they're taking back is contracts, and not even all of them expire. I think Eric Bledsoe's contract still goes until by the time Chris Paul is a free agent again. So it's not even saving that much salary cap-wise. It's just not a good trade. All right, here's a fucking doozy. The Minnesota Timberwolves receive Jonathan Isaac and Al-Farouq Aminu, and the Orlando Magic receive a 2020 first-round pick and James Johnson. I realize that 2020 first-round pick, well, actually, okay, this trade was proposed before the draft lottery. This article came out before that, so keep that in mind. But at the time, the Timberwolves were projected to get like the 5th pick in the draft, not the number 1 pick. So I'm going to take the assumption that I'm sure the writer did in this situation, because this came out before the draft lottery. So let's say the 5th pick in the draft for Jonathan Isaac in the 2020 NBA draft. No. Jonathan Isaac is one of the better young players in the league. He's one of the best defensive players in the league already. Easily would have been all defensive if he stayed healthy all year. Offensively, he's making strides to where I think by the time he's in his prime, he's going to be a pretty solid offensive player. He is pretty much a Andre Karolinko type, and Andre Karolinko in the modern NBA is extraordinarily valuable. And yeah, I would love to see Jonathan Isaac next to Karl Anthony Towns. I don't really care about the Orlando Magic, but I do care about Karl Anthony Towns. But Jonathan Isaac is very valuable. He's one of the most valuable young players in the league. Unless we're cutting out players like Jason Tatum and Luka Doncic as young players that are kind of already established as stars. If you remove the injuries, Jonathan Isaac is easily one of the 10 most valuable young players in the league who hasn't fully established himself as a superstar or star level player yet. So yeah, Jonathan Isaac for that pick is a bad deal for the Orlando Magic. All right, time to think about shooting myself. The Knicks receive Zach LaVine. The Chicago Bulls receive Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, Taj Gibson, a 2020 first-round pick from the Clippers, and a 2023 first-round pick from the Dallas Mavericks. So you're telling me you're not even going to give me a Knicks pick for Zach LaVine? Why the fuck does Frank Ntilikina and Kevin Knox mean much to me as prospects on top of 2 late first-round picks? A 2023 first from the Dallas Mavericks is going to be late because Luka is going to be right smack in his prime. So that's not going to mean anything to me. The Clippers pick in this year's draft, I know it's like in no earlier than like 24. So why? I'm just asking, why? Why would I do this for 2 late first-round picks and 2 busts? No. The Phoenix Suns receive John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Huerter, and Dwayne Dedmon, and a 2020 first-round pick. And the Atlanta Hawks receive Devin Booker. I don't have any words, just take my expression for what it was. Hopefully you're thinking and cut that out, Rudy. That would suck. The Washington Wizards receive Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, Al Horford, Zaire Smith, Shake Milton, a 2020 first-round pick from the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is now the 25th pick in the draft, and a 22 first-round pick from the Philadelphia 76ers. And the Sixers receive Bradley Beal and John Wall. So the Sixers here are basically trading the kitchen sink in exchange for the backcourt of the Washington Wizards. I don't want to say why again, but why would the Wizards do this? So the best young player you are getting here is Matisse Thybulle and Zaire Smith, who is, I don't even know if he's played in the league yet, and Shake Milton, who is decent. And then the 25th pick in this year's draft and a future first that is likely going to not be amazing. That's all you're getting back in exchange for Bradley Beal. Now I understand you're getting off John Wall's bad contract. You really don't take that as acceptable just because you're getting off of John Wall's contract because Bradley Beal is too valuable for that. You're not packaging Bradley Beal to get off of John Wall's contract. Getting off of John Wall's contract is about what you can do with Bradley Beal once you're off that contract, not just completely resetting the entire franchise. And on top of that, you can just get a whole lot better for Bradley Beal and then trade John Wall for another bad contract like Tobias Harris or on another team. So there's no reason for this deal for the Wizards whatsoever. They could just do way better than this. So yeah, but that was me reacting to Bleacher Report trades. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video. Hopefully the end of the world doesn't happen in the next coming weeks because that's going to make making YouTube videos kind of awkward. But yeah, if you want to support this content outside of just your like and subscription, I have a Patreon where there's some extra content over there. That is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.